Israeli occupation forces continue targeting residential areas across Gaza, with 250 people killed in the last 24 hours. Palestinian health authorities registered over 10,500 killed since October 7th. In Japan, G7 foreign ministers met to address the ongoing Israeli war against Gaza, avoiding calling for a ceasefire and endorsing the Israeli onslaught. In Peru, a new political institutional crisis opens. The constitutional chamber ordered the suspension of the legislative process against the National Justice Board's decision. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Rosabal from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. On Wednesday, the Wafa agency reported a new bombing by Israeli forces in a refugee camp. The note points out that there are a large number of people in the rubble, so the number of dead in this new aggression is unknown. According to local media, the occupation forces targeted a Nusayrat refugee camp in central Gaza Strip, and the report added that the attack targeted the resident of Wafa family and also stressed that the dead and wounded have been transferred amid constant bombardment to the Al-Qasam Maril hospital. Israel continues to target residential areas throughout Gaza, with 214 dead in the last 24 hours. Authorities confirmed Wednesday 10,569 Palestinians killed in Israeli attacks in Gaza since October 7th. On Wednesday, local media reported the Palestinian civilian population continues to walk towards the south, seeking to flee from the scarcity of food and water, the intensification of the bombing, and the proximity of Israeli troops and tanks in the north. For its part, the Israeli army has called to evacuate areas to the north that will be the focus of intense fighting. However, attacks have been reported even in areas of the south that Israeli occupation itself has declared safe. The local authorities emphasize that moving to the south does not guarantee security, but subjects one to the untold humiliation of forced displacement, in addition to the risk of death. On Tuesday, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, began a 5-day visit to the Middle East to address human rights violations amid Israeli escalation in Gaza. Turk is in Egypt on Wednesday and will visit Rafah on the border with Gaza before heading to Jordan on Thursday. During his 5-day trip, he intends to discuss human rights issues with government officials, civil society actors, victims, and colleagues in the region. As the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights pointed out, it has been a full month of carnage, of unrelenting suffering, bloodshed, destruction, outrage, and despair.
It's the 1-month anniversary of this incredible escalation of violence that we have seen. I'm, of course, from a human rights perspective, extremely worried about the situation, about what is happening, and it is really important that a solution is found to end the violence and to get out of this horrible, horrible humanitarian and human rights situation for what's happening in Gaza.
Another day of Israeli aggression in Gaza, and the situation is getting worse by the minute. There is no safe zone in the entire territory, even in the refugee camps. For more detail, let's hear what the correspondent Noah Harasin has to tell us from the Gaza Strip.
This is one of the Israelis' massacres here in Gaza, and specifically in Nusayrat refugee camp. This camp is located in northern Gaza, one of the areas that the IDF asked Palestinian people to move for their safety. What you're seeing behind me is the bodies of 18 members of one family, Shihada family. Actually, 9 of the bodies are children and 6 women. This is the situation here in Gaza. Actually, they have put them in bags and now they are getting ready to bury them. But this is just to show the Israeli targets in Gaza. This These people were killed in one airstrike on a Nusayrat refugee camp today on the Gaza Strip. As I said before, we have 9 children and 6 women. According to one member of the family, he said that they left them home, left the home and went to get the family some food to eat. Food for these children because, as the members said who are still alive, they were hungry and they needed food. Let's talk to one family member. ممكن بس بعد إذنك أحكي معاك باختصار، بس احكي لي كيف على السريع يعني كيف هذا الإشي صار معاك أو كيف إيش اللي صار معك؟
We were surprised. The missile fell on the house. It was full of children. Look at them. 6 women. Look. 1, 2, 3, 6 women. There were no men in the house. And 9 children. They talked to us about truth, the tactical step, and the safe street. These are new child murderers. They are neo-Nazis. They are new Hitlers. I address my message to all Jews and Israelis. You are child murderers. You are the bloodsuckers. Before them we only have God. I consider you martyrs. In the eye of God, God willing. This is my grandson. His father was martyred at the beginning of the war.
This man that we talked to, actually he is the grandfather of some of these children, and as he said, they just went to get some food for the family and then they came and picked them up as dead bodies. Noor Harazin, teleSUR, Gaza.
After a month of violent escalation by Israeli against the Palestinian people, with a death toll that already exceeds 10,000 while bombings continue, thousands of people are trying to leave the country in an attempt to survive. We share exclusive material with the testimony of some of those displaced by this conflict.
We left the schools and went to the city, and we moved. The bombings are every day. What do they want from us? They forced us to evacuate the place. I didn't want to leave, but they forced us. It's over. They bombed the house next door. We left everything and went out. We have small children. They do operations. What can I tell you? Suffering. Suffering. Pure suffering. How far have we already walked? It's about 10 kilometers. Nobody's watching us. Nobody sees us. Last night we were in an area of tragedy. We saw death with our own eyes in the area of Al-Shate. In the schools there is not even the slightest sign of basic services, not even water. The shrapnel was falling on our children. It's something that I can't describe. Look. This is our second exodus, the one in 48 and in 23. May God have mercy on our people. I can't tell you more. The situation in Gaza is zero. The shops are empty and there is no water. But God, we are drinking salty water from the reservoirs, not fit for human consumption. I have a disease in my digestive system.
G7 foreign ministers met in Japan to address the ongoing Israeli war against Gaza. The head of diplomacy avoided calling for a ceasefire and endorsed the criminal operation against Gaza. The limited declaration signed by the European Union, Germany, Canada, the United States, France, Italy, Japan, and the United Kingdom merely called for process and humanitarian corridors. They claim that in this way they facilitate urgent aid while Israel continues to commit war crimes. On Wednesday, 1,000 Palestinians in Gaza have gone a month without water and suffered 33 days of bombing. The United Nations reported that it lost 92 workers in Gaza. G7 diplomats also called for a two-state solution without condemning Prime Minister Netanyahu's promise of occupation. In Japan, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, at the meeting of foreign ministers and bilateral talks of the Group of Seven, stressed that Israel will not be able to administer Gaza and assured him that the Israeli leader had informed him that they do not intend to do so.
At the end of the conflict, but it is imperative that the Palestinian people be central to governance in Gaza and in the West Bank as well, and that again we don't see a reoccupation. And what I've heard from Israeli leaders is that they have no intent to reoccupy Gaza and retake control of Gaza. So the only question is there some transition period that might be necessary, and what might be the mechanisms that you could put in place for that to make sure that there is security. But we're very clear on no reoccupation, just as we're very clear on no displacement of the Palestinian population. At the end of
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, full of fun news in different formats, new dates, and more. Our study is coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. On Wednesday, the Venezuelan government issued a statement rejecting the recent joint announcement by the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and the United States governments of increased military presence in the region. Through the statement, Venezuela reiterates denunciation of the increased U.S. military presence with the objective of protecting energy companies operating in the area of the Essequibo, which becomes a greater threat to the stability of the Caribbean and Latin America. The communique adds that the President Ifan Ali continues to refuse to engage in a direct dialogue to resolve the territorial controversy and instead makes a pact with the most aggressive military power in the history of humanity. The text ends by adding that Venezuela will continue to denounce the warlike position of Guyana and will continue to defend its legitimate and historical rights. On Wednesday in the Netherlands, Venezuelan Foreign Minister Ivan Gil announced before the International Criminal Court that the accusations against Venezuela had the political objective of attacking stability. The Venezuelan minister also pointed out that the intention was to use the institutionality of the entity to politically attack the Venezuelan government. The diplomat assured that Venezuela has repeatedly denounced that the unfounded accusations made by the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, were only a strategy to violate and undermine the sovereignty of the country. In this sense, Gil highlighted the commitment of the Venezuelan authorities that dismantled the arguments of the prosecutor's office of the International Criminal Court in order to request the resumption of the investigation on alleged human rights violations.
We ratify before you our unwavering commitment to continue exercising our primary jurisdiction in each and every case, thus vindicating the foundations of the structure of international criminal justice. We only ask you, Chairman and ladies and gentlemen, for a fair and objective balance that restores the legality that has been violated by the initiation of these proceedings and the decision of the preliminary chamber, which is the subject of this hearing.
The President of Bolivia, Luis Arce, after 3 years in office, highlighted the result achieved in favor of the people in accordance with his government plan. The Bolivian president published a message on social networks in which he stated that during these 3 years, progress was made in the area of industrialization and in the creation of the basis for economic growth. In his management report presented to the Plurinational Legislative Assembly, Arce emphasized that all the achievements obtained were thanks to the support of the Bolivian people. The leader highlighted the wisdom of the people and thanked them for the recognition and support for his government. The Third Constitutional Chamber of the Supreme Court ordered the Peruvian Congress to suspend the investigation against the National Judicial Council, but Congress warned that it will not abide by the decision. As soon as the ruling was known, the National Council announced that it accepted the decision to suspend the investigation against its magistrates. Almost at the same time, the Speaker's office of the Congress decided to disobey the order and called for Wednesday the continuation of the plenary that has planned to dismiss all members of the National Council of Justice. For legal experts, the decision of the legislature opens the door to a dangerous political institutional crisis.
We are in a situation of serious danger to the constitutionality of the political system. We are on the verge of becoming a de facto government. It is no exaggeration because the Congress has lost sight of the fact that before this judicial resolution, the Congress is not a power. The Congress is part of a process. That is the file 3431-22023, in which the parties are the plaintiff members of the National Board of Justice, and the Congress is the defendant.
Peru's Public Prosecutor's Office launched a corruption investigation against Nicanor Boluarte, brother of the country's president. The Special Task Force Against Corruption of the Public Prosecutor's Office began an investigation based on a journalistic complaint for false budget proposal of 20 million sols, equivalent to about 4.9 million euros, in which mayor of the Nanka district, Nisan Hoyo, is also involved. The prosecuted office has included investigations on members that were part of the electoral campaign of President Dina Boluarte. We have a second job break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel, teleSUR English, where you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, sub-stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's more recent events. Final job break, don't go away. Welcome back. Thousands of far-right demonstrators gathered on Tuesday outside the headquarters of Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez to protest against the proposed law to grant amnesty to Catalan separatists. The demonstration was called by Israeli far-right groups and supported by the far-right Vox party represented by the leader of the parliamentary group, Pepa Milan. Some protesters were reportedly dispersed by police charges and tear gas, while 6 people were arrested for disturbing the peace. On the other hand, Madrid's emergency services said 39 people were slightly injured, including 29 police officers. The socialists are seeking to get on separatist parties back in to form a new government and keep the center-left coalition in power. The separatists, on the other hand, have demanded a sweeping amnesty that would include their leaders who fled Spain following their failed 2017 secession attempt. France hosts a global summit on the poles and glacier from Wednesday to Friday, November 10, and even a national meeting under the One Planet banner to discuss the pressing issues at the forefront of the impending climate catastrophe. Around 40 countries will be represented, including Germany, Italy, Belgium, China, India, Monaco, Switzerland, Kyrgyzstan, and Nepal. Some will be represented by the head of state or government. The expected outcomes of these 3 days include updates to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's 2019 report and the Ocean and Cryosphere, the world's permanent snow, glaciers, ice caps, pack ice, lakes, and frozen ground. The summit is also aiming to produce a Paris appeal for poles and glaciers on Friday, when Macron will take part in the closing ceremony. The Polar Summit will also be an opportunity to forge coalitions of countries that will subsequently influence international decisions, such as the creation of marine protected areas in Arctic waters. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu received General Zhang Shuisha, deputy chairman of China's Central Military Commission, in Moscow on Wednesday. This is the second meeting between Russian and Chinese defense officials in just 10 days. Shoigu was present at a security forum held in Beijing on October 30, where they held bilateral meetings. The Russian minister assured in brief statements that they will discuss measures to deepen cooperation, clarifying that unlike the aggressive Western countries, Russia and China do not create military blocs. Far from that, they maintain strategic interaction based on trust and respect. On Wednesday, North Korean state media announced visits to Seoul by the United States top diplomat and defense chief as provocative acts that will raise tensions in the region. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived late Wednesday in South Korea and will meet his South Korean counterpart Park Jin the following day to discuss issues including nuclear-armed North Korea, Seoul's foreign minister said. His two-day trip will be followed by a visit by the U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin to Seoul next week for ministerial-level meetings. The visit comes as Seoul and Washington wrap up defense cooperation in the face of a record-breaking series of weapon tests by Pyongyang this year. It also comes as North Korea is threatening its ties with Russia. The 2023 World Internet Conference Busan Summit kicked off on Wednesday in the Asian water city of Busan in China's Zhejiang province, showcasing the latest advances in Internet technology with various forums to promote global development initiatives. This year's summit features 20 sub-forums focusing on global development initiatives, artificial intelligence, computational networks, and online protection for minors. Representatives from various industries around the world will discuss key issues and share visionary perspective on Internet development and digital technology innovation trends. Throughout this year, some Israel concurrent events will take place, such as the unveiling of pioneering global Internet technology, achievements, the release of the World Internet Conference Blue Book, and the highly anticipated grand finale of this race to Wuhan Global Internet Competition. And we have come to the end of this news brief, but before saying goodbye, we want to thank our Caribbean audience, especially the audience of Trinidad and Tobago. We are pleased to share our newscasts and contribute to provide an alternative news source of the latest world events. And you can find these and many other studies on our website at telesurenglish.net, and join us on social networks Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Ana Rosabal. Thank you for watching.